my friend. And listen to this interesting life. She grew up in an Amish town in Indiana. She served in the United States Army on our behalf. Let's give her a hand for that. She worked in a federal prison, and I am currently selling the rights to her life for a movie or books. So let me know and I'll take bids. She's a graduate degree in psychology and a graduate of the leadership program of the Rockies, and most importantly, a co-founder of the Gadsden Society. Thank you, everybody. Lenina Close.
I think I need the soapbox. Good afternoon and welcome to Liberty for All. There's a story of Sam Adams that often goes untold because it was prior to the First Continental Congress, and it's not usually told in the history books. It was during a time when the British soldiers were roaming the streets of Boston, and Sam Adams was stirring discontent among the colonists and demanding that the soldiers be removed. He had become such a threat that Governor Gage of Massachusetts accused him of treason and told him that by changing his political course, he would not only receive great personal advantages, but he would make peace with his king, the King of England. To this threat, Sam Adams replied, "I trust that I have long since made peace with the King of Kings. No personal consideration shall induce me to abandon the righteous cause of my country." He further indicated that it was the advice of Samuel Adams to the governor no longer to insult the feelings of an exasperated people. When a similar threat was issued to Patrick Henry, what do you think he said?
Liberty or death.
That's his most famous. My son asked me if I was going to use that quote. You'll hear it over and over today, I think. He actually said, "If this be treason, make the most of it." I have to believe that was the Old English version of saying, "Bring it on." The founders of this nation understood the value of liberty. They understood it because they knew what it was to live without it. It was men such as these, brave and courageous men and women, who without power, without official titles, without military strength or funding, dreamed of freedom and led the charge to establish a liberated nation. It was men and women such as these that risked being hanged for treason to stand up for what they believed in, and what they believed in was liberty for all. The United States was established upon the principle of liberty for all. Our founding fathers were revolutionaries. They believed that when a people are given the freedom to pursue their own interest, that society will thrive and prosper. Our founding fathers were radical in their belief that all were created equal. Not necessarily in ability or talent, but that we are all equal before the law. And as equals in a free society, we all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are not just Christian, atheist, Buddhist, Muslim, or Jewish. Did I miss anybody?
Scientologist.
Scientologist, pagan. We are not just conservatives or liberals. We are not just pro-life or pro-choice. We are first and foremost Americans.
Yeah.
Liberty for all is the cornerstone of America. It is so deeply embedded in our psyches that it has become an absolute truth in our hearts and in our minds. And we are a nation whose strength depends upon personal responsibility and individual freedoms. Freedom to pursue a business without interference, freedom to worship as we please or not at all, freedom to assemble as we are assembled here today, freedom to defend ourselves from those who would harm us, freedom to speak our minds, and freedom to succeed in our own style and in our own way. With these freedoms comes the responsibility to use them wisely. and to respect, in turn, the right of others to make use of those freedoms as they choose, even though sometimes we might disagree. In our melting pot society, we value diversity. The concept of tolerance is our creed, and acceptance our motto. We honor other cultures and we respect other ways of life. This is our strength. The fact that we truly believe in our hearts that liberty is indeed meant for all. But I caution you that we must draw the line in our tolerance when our individual freedoms are threatened. To anyone who threatens our freedom, we must not be tolerant. We must not tolerate those who seek to impede or obstruct our freedom. Liberty for all must be fiercely protected, without question, without fail, and at all costs. For without liberty, we lose the ability to be open-minded to other ways of life. Without liberty, we lose the ability to respect others' ideas. And without liberty, we are no longer free to be tolerant. The work of the founders is not over. The protection of liberty begins with us as individuals, watching over our own freedoms. I recently read Adam Schrager's book, The Principled Politician, the story of former Governor Ralph Carr, who led Colorado at the end of the Depression. On the cusp of World War II, he said, "I maintain that as long as there persists in this world a nation of thinking human beings, where men have the right to gather in public assembly, to voice their individual opinions without fear, and where he is protected from attacks by any man or group of men, so long as he does not use his rights to injure others, then there is hope." I recently saw a bumper sticker that said, "Home of the free, because of the brave." What about us? What about us? Are we brave?
Yes!
Are we the thinking human beings that Governor Carr said would ultimately give this country hope?
Every day!
Do we have the courage to stand up for those foundational values upon which this country was built?
Yes!
Liberty for all means all. And today, unfortunately, our liberty is under threat. If individual freedoms are encroached upon, whether by radical terrorists or by government mandates, then little else will matter, as our freedom to oppose will have been thwarted. If we allow our individual freedoms to be whittled away, we will eventually lose them altogether. Former Congressman Bob Schaefer once said, "Weakness threatens freedom." Let us not be weak in defending our liberty. Let us not stand idle as our personal freedoms are stripped away. Regardless of political affiliation, regardless of religious beliefs, regardless of our differences in culture, on this common ground, we all stand united. We choose, we honor, and we demand liberty for all. Thank you.